Tommy Jaggi of Fansided here with NFL expert Marcus Mosher. And today we are going to draft the top 16 quarterbacks in the NFL heading into the 2026 season. This should be a fun exercise, Marcus. And for this, we're going to say, what are the quarterbacks going to do for their team this year? Not the grand scope of the rest of their careers, but the focus on 2026.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is going to be a really fun and interesting list because, again, we're focusing just on 2026, not 27, not 28. So guys like Mendoza and Cam Ward, who we really like long-term, they might be a little bit lower on this list. If they might not even be on this list at all. So it should be really fun to get into.
All right, so who are going to be the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season? And Marcus, you graciously gave me the number one pick for the first time. If you haven't got a chance to look at our AFC team and NFC team drafts, make sure you go check those out on Stacking the Box on our YouTube channel. With the number one pick, Marcus, I'm going to go with a no-brainer selection here, the best quarterback in the league. I think at this point, at least over the last 2, maybe 3 years, there really hasn't been a debate. It's Josh Allen. Give me Josh Allen here. He wasn't the MVP last year. That was Matthew Stafford. But Josh Allen, play to play, game to game, his impact is undeniable. What he can do through the air, on the ground, the plays that he can make. And he's just come so far since like his first 2 NFL seasons. And he's peaked out at just a phenomenal perennial all-pro quarterback.
It's funny that we're here because this is now like the unanimous, decision that Allen is the best quarterback in the league. And honestly, I think it's been the case for the last 3 years. Buffalo team has not been particularly good, and yet they always win double-digit games. They won 12 last year. They're always able to hang with the top teams in the league. And yeah, he had a really bad game against the Broncos, and yet he still had them in position to win that game multiple times on the road in Denver. I'm with you, like game to game, down in and down out. I think Allen is the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I think that there's not a ton of debate over that one. And so number 2, which direction are you going here? Are you going with who's been the best recently? Who's been the best over the last few years? Who do you think is going to be the second best quarterback in the league this year?
Taking Matthew Stafford. And
okay.
It's partially because he's healthy going into the season. He threw 46 touchdowns last year. And I think he's just gotten to the point of his career where like he's seen everything that you could potentially see. He's with a really good play caller. He's got a good offensive line. He's got weapons all around him. And I just think we kind of know if Stafford's protected, he is unbelievably accurate. He's just not going to make really any bad decisions. And again, this is not a career award. This is not who's going to be the better quarterback in NFL history because we obviously know Patrick Mahomes is better. But just for 2026, with Mahomes coming off a torn ACL and not playing particularly well the last 2 years, I'm taking Matt Stafford.
Yeah, he would have been my number 2 here as well, just coming off such a phenomenal season. And of course, there's always the chance of a regression when you're up there in age, 37, 38 years old. I think it's possible, but man, he's got so much talent around him and maybe the best head coach in the business. Number 3 here, I'm back up on the clock and I'm going to go with, I'm already at the point where I think I'm going to take the gamble on a guy who can't stay healthy. But when he is so good. Give me Joe Burrow here, number 3. This guy 2 years ago, if we look at the 2024 season, so last year obviously had the toe injury, played half the year. When he played, the Bengals were 5-3. When he did not play, they were 1-6. They were a bad football team. You go to 2024, look back to his last healthy season. I think it was 43 touchdowns, 4,800 yards, close to 9 yards an attempt. Like he is really good. He's got an incredible pairing of wide receivers, maybe the best wide receiver in the game in Jamar Chase. I think the protection will be good enough. And another year growth of Amarius Mims could help as well. But give me Joe Burrow. When he is on, he is firing on all cylinders.
And I expect Burrow to have a really good season this year. The offensive line, they brought back all 5 starters. They played really well in the second half of last year. All 11 starters are returning for the Bengals on that side of the ball. They also are keeping the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator. Burrow is completely healthy going into training camp, and obviously that can change. But everything is just setting up for Burrow to have a really, really big season. And we know when he's healthy and right, he is a threat to score 40 points in any single game. I wouldn't have taken Burrow at 3, but I at least understand it.
All right. Well, that's you then. Who are you going with number 4 here?
I mean, I almost took Patrick Mahomes at number 2. So I think getting
I
him
darn
at
you for
4.
doing that because I was hoping to get him one pick later. You're
Yeah, I
not
mean,
concerned about the knee at all?
I am. I just think there's also Mahomes is really good at managing a game. And I think this is where he has improved over the last couple of years is the Chiefs' talent has not been the same. And I think Andy Reid has regressed as a play caller. I think getting rid of Matt Nagy should help. There is still something about knowing how to stay in these games when you're outmatched. And I do think Mahomes has done that really well. We saw him run more last year out of necessity. And when a game gets close at the end, I just trust Mahomes to get the Chiefs in position to win it. I think, again, I almost took him at 2. Taking him at 4 is a steal.
I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy, and so I wouldn't have had a problem with him as high as 2 for sure. Over Josh Allen these days, yeah, I mean, but number 2, you could definitely go with that. So getting him as the 4th best quarterback, I'm 100% on board with that. You don't have to talk me into that, and I think that even recovering from the knee injury and all the questions I have on offense, I think that the loss of Matt Nagy is addition by subtraction. I think this team is going to eventually get back on track. And you can't keep a future Hall of Famer down for long. I think he's going to turn around really quickly. Number 5 here, I will comfortably take Lamar Jackson at number 5. I think he's the last of this truly elite tier. And there's another few names up there that I feel really comfortable with. But Lamar at 5, it's kind of the same situation as Burrow. The Ravens started out 1-5 last year. And then yet they had almost a chance to win the division in week 18 had Tyler Loop not missed a chip shot field goal. After it would have been like the only team in NFL history to do that. You go back to 2024 before Lamar had the injuries and when his last fully healthy season, he had 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4,200 passing yards, and 915 yards on the ground. It was the best dual threat season I think we've ever seen at the quarterback position. I feel comfortable in this guy. He's got Declan Doyle, a young offensive coordinator, calling the shots now. I think they're going to be more innovative. You got Jesse Minter there, who's going to be aggressive. Give me Lamar Jackson easily at number 5, and I feel good about that.
Yeah, and in any week, Lamar Jackson can be the number 1 quarterback on this list. We've seen him have multiple MVP seasons. Anytime that he's healthy, he is one of the league's most unstoppable quarterbacks. And you mentioned that week 18 game. He was phenomenal. I mean, he had multiple long touchdowns in the 4th quarter. He also had an unbelievable play to Isaiah Likely to set up the field goal attempt that should have won them that game. He's healthy going into this year. They've made some more investments in his wide receiver core, into his offensive line. And this is kind of a contract year for Lamar Jackson. So I do expect him to bounce back in a big way.
Yeah, 100%. And so you are up with the number 6 selection. Who are you going with here?
Dak Prescott. And the reason for Dak is whenever Dak is healthy and on the field, the Cowboys have a top 5 offense. And it's just, he might not be as physically talented as some of the names ahead of him on this list, but he is just so good at reading defenses and understanding coverages and getting everybody lined up where they're supposed to go. I think back to that Green Bay game that they played in week 5 last year. They were down 3 starters on the offensive line. CeeDee Lamb was out of the lineup, and they scored 40 points against Micah Parsons in Green Bay. And that was a game that obviously Green Bay really, really wanted to win, and Dak was unbelievable. I think he is just he's a prototypical pocket passer in today's NFL, and I think 6 is a good spot for him.
Yeah, I said this before, but in a lot of ways, I think Dak is kind of a mirror of Joe Burrow. They have similar situations. They're both really good at managing the game, really good accuracy. I like Dak a lot here, and I think that this is certainly the player I would have picked at number 6 had I had that selection. I think he's in for a really good season, again, if he can stay healthy. Before we go to the next one here, if you are tuning into Stacking the Box for NFL fans come to talk, celebrate, and debate. For more coverage, hit up fansided.com, powered by the passionate fans at Fansided. Going to number 7 here in our quarterback draft, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert, a guy who played with no semblance of an offensive line last year. And it was just parting the Red Sea. Like, he didn't have anything to work with, and he still did something, which is more impressive than what he should have done. Now you get Joe Alt back. Now you get Rashawn Slater back, and you add Mike McDaniel to the mix, who I'm really excited about for this team. I think that Mike McDaniel, maybe a little underwhelming as a head coach, but brilliant as an offensive play caller. I think that the Chargers have a chance, even though we might not be crazy about their skill players. I like Ladd McConkey a lot. I think that he might be in for a breakout season this year if they use him the right way, and they should now. this team, I think, is going to have some of the biggest breakout individual contests that we'll see in the NFL from an offensive standpoint this year.
I thought about Justin Herbert at number 6. Whenever he's had, well, he really hasn't had good offensive coordinators, but as a rookie, he had Shane Steichen, and he had one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback. And then it was Joe Lombardi for a couple of years, and it was rough. And then he gets Kellen Moore in 2023, and he's 5th in the NFL in QBR on an awful Chargers team that went 5-12. There was a game that Justin Herbert didn't play where the Chargers were down 63-0 to the Raiders. I'm not making that up, by the way. They were down 63-0 to the Raiders. I think Justin Herbert with Mike McDaniel is going to be special. And I would not be surprised when we're doing this list next year if he's not inside the top 3 because he's got all the physical tools. I love this pick.
And I know we've been saying about that about Herbert for such a long time now. And it's like, when is he going to rise to that truly like top quarterback tier? I think he's been on that fringe for a long time now. He's dealt with some unfortunate circumstances with coaching changes and what have you, offensive line injuries, but this could be the year. And assuming that O-line in front of him stays healthy enough, I think he's going to have an awesome season. Where are you going now with the number 8 selection in the quarterback draft?
Again, this is a projection, right? We're projecting who we want for this year, and I'm taking Caleb Williams. And I think Drake May is the other one that we considered, and I'm sure he's going to come off the board next. Drake May was finished second in MVP, but Caleb Williams had a really difficult schedule last year. The defense was not good at all, so he was in all of these late game situations where he had to be heroic, and almost every single time he delivered. There is just something special about Caleb Williams, about his ability to escape pressure, make plays down the field. You saw why he was the number 1 pick in the 2024 draft. I think you're going to see a huge breakout season from Caleb this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I was going next as well. I like the trajectory a lot. I like the talent around him, the head coach and Ben Johnson, obviously. I think that this is one of the fastest rising quarterbacks in the NFL, and I would not be surprised if he firmly cements himself into that tier two group of quarterback next year. And obviously the talent and the ceiling are as high as anybody. And despite not having Josh Allen's size, I mean, the arm talent, the mobility, the play extension ability is all top notch, on par with anybody in the league. Now we're looking at number 9. Give me the number 2 vote getter in MVP last year. And that's Drake May, another player who, like Williams, is an ascending NFL quarterback who has a tremendous size profile. He's not lacking in anything. He got his team to won the AFC Championship last year, was a Super Bowl representative. Like, sure, you might not repeat that same level of season that you had, but are you going to be a top 9 quarterback in this league next year? Probably. I feel pretty comfortable that he's not going to get a lot worse than he was last year, even if the schedule gets harder, and it undoubtedly will. Give me Drake May here, because I just think that he's shown so much promise early in his career.
Yeah, and again, you could make an argument that he should be even higher on this list. I think now that he's got some adequate weapons with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs and hopefully a better offensive line, we could see an even better version of Drake May. Now, I will say I'm at pick number 10 here, and it does feel like there's a little bit of a drop-off. Not a huge one, but at least a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Sam Darnold the respect that he deserves. He has now put together back-to-back incredible seasons. He won the Super Bowl last year. He played awesome in the postseason. I mean, he was just lights out against some really good teams. And I think there is some variance with Darnold. And I think if you wanted to take a guy like Jaden Daniels or Jordan Love ahead of him, I wouldn't fight you on it at all. I just think Sam Darnold needs more respect for everything that he has done over the last 2 years in 2 different systems with different receivers. I love Sam Darnold. I'm happy to put him at 10.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Super Bowl winning quarterback we're talking about. And if you combine his seasons from 2024 and 2025, his numbers, just straight up number standpoint, he's on par with mostly every quarterback in the league. I mean, 2 years ago, he had 35 touchdowns and 4,300 yards with the Vikings. And then 1 year after making a switch, still another great season, Super Bowl winning season with the Seahawks. I think that's perfectly respectable. I think you could have had him 2 to 3 spots higher than that, even considering what he's done these past 2 seasons. All right, this brings me to a cluster of quarterbacks here in this next group. Now, again, if I'm not judging the team's performance, just going off of what this quarterback is going to do in 2026, I think I will take Jaden Daniels here with the number 11 slot. We're talking about the former offensive rookie of the year. The playmaking ability is undeniably good. He's got to stay healthy for a full season. But I love what he can do in terms of the play extension ability, moving the chains in a number of ways. I feel pretty comfortable with Jayden Daniels as a top 11 quarterback.
There's just not very many quarterbacks that can take over a game by themselves with poor weapons and poor offensive line and less than stellar coordinator. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury was anything special. And yet Jayden Daniels did it. So I totally agree. I'm buying Jayden Daniels stock. Coming out of last year, we all thought Jayden Daniels was clearly the best quarterback of the 2024 draft. Now he slides down to third. Again, I think it's a good value at 11. I like this pick.
All right. Before we go any further, if you love football talk, you are in the right place. This is Stacking the Box, powered by Fansided, where fans come to share their passion every day. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, like this stream if you're watching on YouTube. All right, Marcus, I'm back up again, right?
Oh, it's me.
It's you.
Me.
Okay, you're up 12. With the number 12 pick, and where are you going with this?
Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love is somebody who the advanced analytics absolutely love. You look at EPA per play, passer rating, all those stuff, he comes out really well. Now, I think there are some times where he's a little erratic or, like last year against the Bears in the playoff game, he just needs to settle down a little bit. But we've seen him play well in the playoffs previously. We've seen him put up some big numbers in the regular season. And I think, again, it's the range. I think anywhere after the top 9 quarterbacks, you can make an argument for Jordan Love. So I think 12 is a good spot for him.
Marcus, when Love annihilated your Cowboys a few years ago in the playoffs, I really thought that he was going to take that next step into potentially even that QB1 tier. Like, he was so good down the stretch there. He hasn't really risen above that. And I don't think that his play necessarily matches the numbers that we see in terms of the advanced analytics, the EPA, and all the advanced stats that show that he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. But still, if we're talking about a top 12 passer, like 100%, I think that Jordan Love belongs firmly in this category right here. I think he's a really good football player. He's led the charge. He knows how to operate the game in Matt LaFleur's offense. I think that that's a good selection. This brings me to number 13 here. And I mean, I have to take him off the board at this point. Give me Brock Purdy. Give me Brock Purdy here as the 13th best quarterback in the league. Now, advanced analytics and grades are going to tell you that we waited too long on this guy. And I do think the 49ers are going to be a good football team again this year. They dealt with all those injuries last year, and yet they still found a way to be competitive. Brock Purdy is somehow sneakily underrated. And I don't think that he's obviously he's not the biggest or toolsiest quarterback in the league, but he's fearless and he can make a lot of plays outside of the pocket. Give me Brock Purdy at number 13.
Yeah. And again, this is a good spot for him as well. I don't think he's quite as good as the analytics suggest, and he's not as bad as maybe some of his haters think he is. Again, I think he is just outside the top 10 quarterback. And now, honestly, we should say this with Purdy. I really think he's gotten a lot better over the last 2 years. Yeah. They've had a lot of injuries, and he's been able to overcome it. He's become more accurate. I think he's become more controlled as a passer. I do think Brock Purdy needs to get a little bit more respect than he's gotten.
Yeah. All right. And so we are up with your selection of the number 14 pick. We got 3 picks remaining here. Who are you going with?
Trevor Lawrence. I thought we saw him take a big step forward last year. And I know the offensive coordinator situation has been pretty rough for him over the last couple of years. Doug Peterson, and even going back further than that with Urban Meyer. But I think under Liam Cohen, something clicked for him. He played the best football of his career. He was running more. We saw him play pretty well in the playoff game against Buffalo. He had an awesome drive late in that game to go down and score a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence is still incredibly young. He's only 26 years old. And I think we're just starting to see him scratch the surface of his potential. I think here in the middle part of the rankings, I think is a good spot for Lawrence.
Yeah, and I think that this is one where I would say, based on our draft list here, you talking about him 14th. I think this one has a chance to be maybe the best value of all these selections, because you could get a top 5 or 6 performance out of Lawrence this year, and I wouldn't bat an eye based on what he did the second half of the season with Jacksonville. If you prorate that over a season, I mean, he's looking really, really good. So Liam Cohen there, I really like how he's changed the offense. I think he's got some weapons around him now. questions on that offensive line, but Trevor Lawrence, I think that this is a completely respectable spot for him, and his range could have been 3 or 4 spots higher than this even. I'm looking at the names remaining here, Marcus, and it concerns me that we're going to leave some pretty respectable quarterbacks off this list. And so this is my last selection, number 15, and then you're going to round out the draft with number 16. So I want to make this one count. I'm going to go with your guy. Here. Let's go Kyler Murray. Let's go with Kyler Murray.
That's higher than I 15. Thought. Okay.
Because he's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Jordan Addison. He's got the third receiver's escaping me now.
Juwan Jennings now there. The offensive line is pretty solid. Kyler Murray did a lot of good things despite a talent discrepancy in his division when he was with the Arizona Cardinals. I think that this is a quarterback who is just, we're talking about number 1 overall pick here, who was a multi-time Pro Bowl quarterback. He can return to form. And I'm not betting necessarily on some of the other teams that I chose over him, but I think his quarterback season could surprise you playing with Kevin O'Connell this year. I mean, you know how much I love Kyler Murray, but even I think this is rich. So this is good. I'm happy that you put Kyler this.
I don't think he's necessarily a tier lower than the guys remaining.
No, I think he's in the same tier. Again, we are projecting forward. And I think this is going to be the best situation that Kyler has ever been in as a quarterback. He's got a strong foundation, a good offensive line, multiple receivers. I do expect Kyler to play really, really well this year. And if it doesn't happen, we're probably talking about Kyler being a career backup at that point. This is probably his last shot, but I don't expect it to go that poorly.
All right. So you didn't love my Kyler pick. I didn't know. I thought it could go either way there. So you've got the 16th and final pick in the quarterback draft. I'm looking at some of the names remaining, and they're good players, but which direction are you going here?
So there's a couple names I was considering. Bo Nix, I think, is very underrated as a quarterback. Jalen Hurts obviously won the Super Bowl. He can put up big numbers. But I do think Jared Goff deserves a little bit of the love. This is a quarterback who has thrown 30 or more touchdowns in 3 consecutive seasons. He's surpassed 4,500 passing yards in 3 consecutive years. He's incredibly accurate. The Lions win a bunch of games. He has his flaws, but I think for the most part, you're getting a top 14, 13 quarterback every single week. So I think Jared Goff at 16 is a great value.
Yeah, we're still talking the epitome of consistency here in Jared Goff. I think that he's somehow become an underrated quarterback, even though he was once that number 1 draft pick. He's done a lot of good things since coming to Detroit. He still is. And I think that this is more than respectable spot for him being number 16. I think he deserves to be thought about as a top 16 quarterback in the league. And so, Marcus, that leaves us, if we look at the remainder of the list here, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart. Of all the guys that we left off of this list, and again, it's half the starting quarterbacks in the league, which one has the strongest case to say, hey, I belong on this list?
Probably Jalen Hurts, right? I mean,
I think a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hurts is the obvious one. I think he's coming off a really down season, and I think he needs a big year to bounce back. But this is why I always caution with people with, saying guys like Baker Mayfield, oh, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's a top 12 quarterback. Well, once you start stacking these guys, you realize, okay, maybe he's not a top 10 guy. Maybe he's more in the 14 to 15 range, and that's completely fine. We actually have a good bit of quarterback depth right now. And if guys like Fernando Mendoza can turn out, if Cam Ward can take a step in year 2, and the quarterback that we should mention here, CJ Stroud, who maybe 2 years ago would have been at the very top of this list, inside the top 5, he's somebody that has all the talent. Like, we have good quarterbacks stretching into the early 20s this year, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, it really is. I think that the future is bright still at the position. And so I'll ask another follow-up question here before we close out the show. Is of the guys who were left off the list, I'm looking at some of the younger names there, Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart, whichever direction you want to go here. Who do you think by this time next year, if we're doing this show in the 2027 offseason before training camp, who do you think could vault themselves firmly into the top 16 here?
I think it's Jackson Dart. Now, I don't know if he necessarily will stay, but I think Greg Roman and Harbaugh are going to be really good at getting him to play to a certain level. This is what they've done with every single quarterback that they've ever had together. Like, they're really good at raising the floor. I think like Cam Ward has a higher ceiling, but I do think Dart is going to be in this discussion at this time next year.
I think that's completely fair. What do you guys think? Let us know. Did you like this episode? Leave us a comment here on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. This is the Stacking the Box show, premiering every Tuesday evening. Be sure to check it out. You can follow Marcus on X at Marcus_Mosher. You can follow me on X at Tommy Jaggi. You can check out the Stacking the Box podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also check us out on YouTube. You can follow my written content on stillcurtain.com. Marcus's written content on the Fansided NFL Network. Be sure to check out fansided.com for all your daily sports news and opinions. And thanks again for listening to Stacking the Box.